Hi, it's Joe Mazumdar of Exploration Insights at the September 2023 version of the Metals Investment Forum in downtown Vancouver. And with me is the CEO, Tim Moody of Pan Global Resources. Tim, how's it going? So Pan Global Resources, we've talked before. I mean, it's the volcanogenic massive sulfide deposits that are producing, developing, and being explored for in the Iberian Pyrite Belt. Pan Global's Escacena Project is on the eastern end, very close to one of the higher grade open pits that existed in the world called Las Cruces. Very close, abutting Grupo Mexico's potential restart of the Aznalcóllar and Los Frailes deposit, and then very close to an open pit deposits that Atalaya is mining in the old Riotinto district. So, Tim, what's the goal of Pan Global Resources?
Well, we at this stage we continue to try and make a discovery that would be a standalone mining project, and I think we may have that. I think we've got that already, based on what we're seeing, the modelling we've been doing
at La Romana.
At La Romana,
and the extension to the west.
So now it's all about adding potential NPV to.
How many tons do you think is a standalone where you are?
Yeah, well,
I mean, given all the infrastructure and everything.
Well, I think this is part of the attraction of Pan Global. There's optionality here. We've got the potential for a standalone, which could be something, even with what we've got at the moment, based on the model we're doing, even if it's 20 or 30 million tonnes.
Okay. And each one of these gravity anomalies could generate one of those, and the idea is these VMS cluster.
Yeah.
So if you find a few of those, then you can get to the 60s and the 80s sort of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because as you know, they occur in clusters. So, but we haven't closed off La Romana. It's still growing. So now it's about size. And adding value to that, and then making hopefully another discovery somewhere else, which really
catalyst. One of those was the big one was the access to the ground on the west, where the east-west trending La Romana trend. I think there's some kind of fault, and then it starts going to the northwest, and that's where you just initiated drilling, and now you're starting to get results from that. Yeah,
the results we put out earlier this week actually were the first drilling into this new extension. And whereas we were calling it La Romana and then Romana West, it's really all the one thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to discard the Romana West because now the first drill holes have shown it's just continuing. Exactly the same geometry, it's the same. Yeah,
so there's no fault offset with that.
Nothing
structure.
apparent at this stage. No,
okay.
No. It may, as we go further to the west, it looks like it changes orientation a little. So that's implying that there may be a major fault of some sort that's turning things around a little bit.
But it's not down dropping it.
No, that may happen across that fault further to the west.
Okay.
And in fact, some of the geophysics we're seeing at the moment is suggesting there might be like a graben, and the mineral trend may actually have dropped down, and it may continue, just that the gravity response is not as strong because it's been dropped down. Okay. So that's an interesting outcome.
And also the mineralization looks a bit different. I mean, now you're getting a little bit more tin again, which you saw before on the eastern end of La Romana. Now it's coming up again.
Yeah, so it's a classic zonation. It's some sort of lead zinc off to the east, and we went into copper only, and then going into copper and tin, and the tin seems to be increasing. Some of those holes we put out results for early this week are showing some, in fact, higher. If you look at it on a value basis, the tin is higher content than the copper, really.
So in terms of the core of the system, is the copper and the tin the core, and then the zinc and the lead outside?
Yeah, well, the implications of the tin, we'll still work it out, but you generally think that that's getting into the hotter part of the system, so that perhaps the core of it. So it's going to be really interesting as we continue to follow the mineralization to the west to see how that tin evolves.
Does that suggest that you have two cores, one in the eastern part of Romana where you get the tin, and then another one here and off to the west beyond that fault or whatever?
Yeah. Well, we were getting some tin in the middle of the deposit. The far east is more lead, some lead zinc, not enough to be economic. Then copper only, so no tin. And then we started seeing some tin, some really nice grades in this sort of central area. And now we're seeing it really kick
Okay,
off
now you're
again.
seeing more tin.
More tin.
Oh, okay, right.
So it's,
okay.
so that's suggesting we are getting into a hotter part of the system potentially, and let's
More
see what
copper
happens.
and more tin.
Copper and tin. So.
Okay. And so not only are you extending the mineralization La Romana, is the idea once you start drilling that out to put out a resource at one point?
Yeah, so what's held us back from putting out a resource at this stage? The drill spacing we've got at the moment on La Romana for the first 160 drill holes, 50 by 50 metre, 50 by 25 metres, is enough to measure and indicate it based on the work we've done so far. But we haven't put out a resource because we don't know how big it is. We think it could materially grow from where it is at the moment.
Yeah.
So we felt it would be much more prudent to get an idea of what the size might
Right.
be,
And
then
that was
come out
pending
with
the
a
access.
pending the
Yeah,
access.
access.
So now we've got that access. We've got a 25-hole program. We're halfway through it now. That'll give us another test of about another 500 metres of strike. The geophysics is saying it might go beyond that. If it does, that's good because we need to keep drilling. But yeah, look, I think the objective now is to try and delineate that western extension, and then make sure we've got enough drilling there to come out with a resource. And I anticipate that'll be sometime next year.
Okay, but at the same time, you're funded because one of the things that I like about Escacena is the number of gravity anomalies that
Yeah.
you could test. They all don't always work, but you've got
Yeah.
targets to test, and now you've just intersected a new one called Cañada Honda.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, we are target rich. It's sort of it's a problem of which one do you go to next to some extent. So we're always using all the different layers of information to help with that prioritisation. We've been preferentially going for shallow, near surface mineralisation, which is sort of part of the reason why we didn't drill Cañada Honda a little early. We did put one shallow hole a few years ago. We did some new geophysics and we drilled a couple of holes and they both hit some really interesting copper and gold, as you know.
Which is unusual for the Iberian Pyrite Belt to have gold.
It is. There is gold, but not generally with the copper.
Okay.
So you see gold often with the sort of more what they call the polymetallic or the complex ores, the lead, zinc, silver with some gold.
But not these grades.
Not these grades. But certainly not with the copper like we're seeing at the moment. So that's a little different, but we'll take it. Yeah. I mean, yes, we don't have the tin like we have at La Romana, but we've got the gold. Early days, but each of the holes is hitting at the moment on that target. As I just showed on the presentation, we've only got one hole that's tested the gravity anomaly, which was the attraction initially, and it's right on the eastern tip of that big gravity anomaly. And that one hole was our best, widest stick copper gold intersection to date. So
on the entire property, obviously.
On the Cañada Honda target. So we've got 2 kilometres untested to the west of that drill hole, and it looks pretty. If that's all copper and gold mineralisation, we're onto something here. And we've got other indications that suggest the grade and thickness is increasing to the west in the direction of the gravity anomaly. So pretty exciting, and particularly when we've got a swag of a number of other big targets we haven't.
So how big is your 2023 drill program, and where are you in it? Yeah,
so we set out at the beginning of the year with a 20,000 metre drill program. We're about 16,000 metres or so into that, and the last of the 20,000 metres is the program we've got going on now at Romana West, or the western extension.
Have you drilled everything you're going to drill at Honda before you come back to it, or you've got a few more holes?
Yeah, so we're actually working on a drill plan now. We've already planned some holes. We've got both the gravity anomaly to now chase, but we've also got some downhole EM conductor targets and some additional IP targets to follow. So we'll probably look at about a 10-hole follow-up program at Cañada Honda.
Okay.
And if that continues, obviously we'll look at a much bigger program. It's something we could hopefully move to a resource as well pretty quickly.
All right. So in terms of catalysts, I mean, just drilling. And what's your assay turnaround right now?
Yeah, the assays, it's still a little variable, but it's better than a lot of areas. We're now getting sort of back to normal. 3 weeks.
3 to 4 weeks.
4 weeks, something like that.
Okay.
It just depends.
Non-priority.
Not priority,
yeah.
just normal. It depends if you got some overgrade. The tin sometimes takes a little bit longer, or but if you have some overgrade assays, it takes a little longer.
Okay. Are you using XRF on the site too?
Yeah, spot tests when the drill core comes out, but we also run it on pulps.
Okay.
So when we get the samples prepped, we put the Vanta on, the portable XRF on that. That gives us an early sight.
Right.
It's not perfect.
Yep.
But it's a good guide. So.
Okay, great. So and then hopefully, I mean, as you drill Romana West, the idea is to potentially put out a mineral resource estimate in the first or quarter maybe of next year.
That might be optimistic, but sometime next year. It really depends on, is it still continuing to grow?
Do you actually close it off? Or
we would prefer to get some idea how big it is before we put out a resource. I don't think we need to drill it at the same densities we drill.
Yeah, no, infer would be enough just to know how
that's
far
it.
it goes.
Yeah, so that's the objective, just to delineate it as far as it goes, and then look to put out a resource.
And then when you find a new one, and if Cañada Honda is a new one, then to drill that one as far as you can to close that one out as well.
So the plan this year, the strategy this year was really a two or three pronged approach. Really, one was to with the 20,000 metres to extend and expand the La Romana discovery. Secondly, was to drill new targets. So hopefully make another discovery, because we recognise that if we make another discovery, that's a game changer for us.
Right.
That helps us get to that bigger
proves
tonnage.
the thesis in terms of the drill-rich environment.
That's it. And then the third part was obviously to keep the other exploration going, to keep generating other targets and move them up the order in terms of being drill ready, and then prioritise those for drilling as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tim.
Pleasure, Joe.
Okay, that's Tim Moody, CEO of Pan Global Resources, and he's in charge of basically expanding this Escacena project, a copper project, which has now been declared a critical mineral. It was always in Europe, but now also in the U.S., and lots of exploration drilling to come, and potentially a mineral resource estimate for next year. So that's me. That's it for me, Joe Mazumdar, Exploration Insights from the September 2023 edition of the Metals Investment Forum in Vancouver. Thank you for watching.